One huge question that many of us are concerned with is whether you should invest or pay off debt. Everyone goes through this dilemma at least once in their lives, and it's a pretty natural occurrence. But one thing I always ask is, why would you pay off debt when you could put that money to work to earn more money than your actual debt? I mean, the options are pretty clear, right? It's better to use the extra money to eliminate or at least pay down debt. Or it's better to invest that money so it grows and provides amazing returns for your future. The fact of the matter is that simple decisions can probably lead to some of the biggest and most influential developments in money. So let's take a look at the advantages and disadvantages of both options so you can make the right choice. That simple choice can mean the difference between being completely broke or financially free. Before deciding to pay off debt or invest, you must first make sure you've established a financial foundation. This primarily includes setting aside a sufficient amount of money in an emergency fund that's strictly reserved for surprise expenses without having money set aside. It's pointless to either pay off debt or invest because, for one, a financial emergency could set you back to square one. Like when you have no cash saved and your car requires a major repair, you'd be forced to either withdraw it from your investments or go into debt to fund it. Saving at least 3 to 6 months of expenses is a responsible amount to aim for before moving forward. Perhaps the best part about reducing debt and becoming debt-free is the extra room you'll have in your budget. When you have various payments for debts being withdrawn from your account, it can be hard to pay yourself. The more payments you have, the more likely it is that you're living paycheck to paycheck, barely scraping by. Now, when this happens, it feels like you're going to work every day to strictly pay bills, not making any financial progress. While the balance of your loan might slowly be going down, a large percentage of those payments is paid to the lender in the form of interest. Once all loans have been repaid, it will feel like you've received a large raise, as a much larger percentage of your paycheck is yours to keep. Being free of debt makes it so much easier to increase your retirement contributions, so you could potentially retire at a much younger age. Alternatively, many choose to invest their extra cash before becoming entirely debt-free. The reason for this is that the interest earned from investments could far exceed the interest rate of the debts, allowing them to make larger profits. Does it really make sense to pay off debt at a 5% interest rate when you could earn 10 or more on your investments? Becoming debt-free and waiting to invest could take many years, causing you to lose out on large amounts of compound interest that would snowball your wealth to a new level. The biggest factor when it comes to deciding to aggressively pay down debt or invest extra money is a risk. When you pay down loans, you're essentially earning a guaranteed return if a credit card company is charging you debt. That's the equivalent of earning and investing money, which always involves some amount of risk. Is it possible to earn a 10% return or more by investing in the S&P 500? Yes, it is. In fact, according to Investopedia, the S&P 500 has averaged over 10% per year since it first began. However, there have been times when the market has had a negative return. Before we go through the actual rundown of these negative returns, make sure to drop a like and hit that subscribe button. We'll continue making these educational videos if you'll continue to support them. Now, back to the video. In the year 2000, the S&P 500 returned a negative 10%, followed by a negative 13 in 2001 and a negative 23 in 2002. After that, there were some profitable years until 2008 when it returned negative 38 over the long term. To be honest, the odds would be more in your favor if you're going to make a profit, but returns aren't guaranteed. It's important to remember this when executing your financial plan. Let's take a look at the simple real-life example of paying down debt versus investing money in the stock market. Let's say you have a $350,000 mortgage on a 30-year term. The interest rate is a reasonable 4%, giving you a monthly payment of $1,671. You're making decent money at work and have an extra $1,000 in your budget that you're either going to use to pay down this mortgage or put towards investments. However, you're not sure which is likely to put you in a better place by the end of the 30-year loan period. Scenario 1 has something to do with paying down the mortgage and paying an extra $1,000 per month towards a principal. This will have you debt-free in 14 years and 5 months, instead of having that mortgage linger for 3 full decades. This means you only pay $110,799 in interest over the life of the loan. Then, for the remaining time, you invest not only the extra $1,000 per month, but also the amount of the mortgage payment that you are paying. Previously, $2,671 per month for 15 years. 7 months as a remainder of 30 years will total $1,203,916. Subtracting this total capital amount, you would now have invested from the interest you paid of $110,799. This leaves you with a total of $1,093,117 at the end of the 30-year period. Put simply, this equation is your total sum accumulated, minus the amount of interest you paid. Scenario 2 involves making the minimum payment and then investing. First, let's assume that you only pay the minimum payment on the mortgage and invest your extra $1,000 each month by only paying the minimum payment. You'll have paid a whopping $251,544 in interest over 30 years. This amount would be much more than in the first scenario, but by investing $1,000 per month into the SP 500, assuming an average return of 10%, that amount will have grown to $2,171,000. After 30 years, your total investments of $2,171,000 minus $251,544 in interest leaves you with $1,919,456 the total. For a more defined equation, it mostly just involves thinking about money and its many subtractions. Scenario 2 minus the total in Scenario 1 equals a difference of $826,339. This means that by investing your extra $1,000 per month in the SP, you'd have over $800,000 more at the end of a 30-year period due to how your money will compound over many years. That's an amount that could make the difference between being able to retire or needing to work for many more years. Of course, this doesn't consider the risk of investing in the stock market, and it assumes an average return that is reasonable over a long period of time. One of the main factors in your favor with a 30-year mortgage is inflation. The mortgage payment remains the same dollar amount for the life of the loan, but the dollar loses its value over time. This means that you're able to pay back your loan with dollars that are worth less than they were previously. But if inflation averages 4%, the dollar changes or has its value about every 18 years. Simply put, after about 18 years, your mortgage payment is only half as much as it was when you took it out while you're paying back debt with a dollar that's worth less than it was previously. You can also invest in assets that keep pace and exceed the rate of inflation, giving you the best of both worlds. A mortgage is a more extreme example when it comes to deciding to pay off debt or invest, and there are 2 reasons for this. The first is that a mortgage is typically a very low-interest loan, perhaps the lowest available with the average mortgage rate in 2021 of around 3%. Currently, nearly 5% of the expenses are very close to the rate of inflation. That means that if you're borrowing money for basically nothing, for this reason, mortgages are actually desirable for some investors. The second is that mortgages are long-term loans. Usually, stretching 3 decades when a loan term's this long is the difference between deciding to pay down the loan or invest extra money is much more significant. Now, there are a few things to consider because it's not cut and dry like one would initially think cash flow is. Obviously, it adds a huge benefit that can free up your budget, which is especially important for older investors when getting ready to retire. Cash flow is your number one concern, not which strategy is going to return you more money in 30 years. Slow and steady wins the race, but sometimes you could also consider using the extra income to gradually pay down debt and invest simultaneously? Well, people have strong opinions when it comes to this topic. I mean, it's hard to deny because the numbers depict each scenario accurately, and it comes down to your job being to assess the risk and reward. Always decide on what's best for you, and always consider and weigh all of the pros and cons of both options. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and if you want to learn a few more tips and tricks to handling your money or your money-making skills, make sure to subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. Cheers!